Alright, I'm going to talk a bit about my philosophy on picking Medicos. So, I've picked a few of these, enough that I can say pretty comfortably that I know a decent bit about them, at least picking wise. And I wanted to just talk about how I go about picking them, what I look to feel for, because if you look some of the videos I have made, I talk a lot about feedback that are in Medecos. So I want to make it a little clearer. So I'll do counterclockwise because in a lot of Medecos, counterclockwise tension binds the sidebar first instead of the top stack first. So when I have got a Medeco, I'll put on a fairly stout bit of tension. Hold on, let me get this positioned right so that it doesn't fly around. I put on a reasonable amount of tension. You can see here just how much. I would call this moderate. Most people would call it lighter than you'd assume, but I would say moderate. And I just look to poke around. I look to find any binders because anything honestly is something decent. And a Medeco, I think, is one of the locks that it really matters what pick you use. So I'm going to actually move this down and I'm going to start picking like this. So you can hear as I get some clicks. The Medeco, you might be able to hear some of the clicks that I get are hollow, some are very sharp. The hollow clicks are likely false gates in the drivers. The properly loud clicks are probably true gates or top pins. So because this is obviously the counterclockwise, we're probably setting the sidebar first. And so that was just my pick. And so you can see that I go a little stout, and then as I position myself on the pin, I go less and less. If you get nowhere, look for something that might give you a bit of better rotational value, something like a DeForest Diamond or this gem-tipped pick are very good for that. You're going to be looking to pull either from the right or from the left, and they are your two influencing directions. Obviously, if you are good at that, you can do that pretty well. In general, if you actually go onto inside of your lock, because most Medecos are grabbed from the factory, if not, then they're old stock, and old stock have little Bible covers that you can take off relatively harmlessly, unless you're like me. And you can take out the top pins and you can focus solely on rotations. Personally, I didn't do that. I just learnt like from the top stack, like just loading the top stack one at a time, but it's not a terrible idea. So sometimes when you go through, you'll want to jiggle test and you'll feel some things that are super solid, like more solid than normal when they're set, and that probably is something in a false gate. So loosen your tension up a ton and give it a poke. Give it a poke and it might give you a nice click. Like this right here. That gives me a nice click. This here, that didn't give me as nice of a click. I'm not pulling this in the right direction. There we are. That's a nice click. So I probably got that rotation set now. Or not. The wire. There we go. That's a nice click. And so now we go through, and that's set, that's set, that's set. Again, if ever everything feels a bit messed up, drop tension. See if you've overset something. It's pretty easy to overset things in Medecos because of their tolerances. And again, if you're worried, don't be, because Medecos pull from the right now. But there we are. Medecos quite often are very good locks for tolerances. And oh, that didn't sound very good. There we go. Yeah, and when you get the set, you'll feel it on your tensioner. So proper sets feel good. They give you a good amount of core rotation. And yeah, I'm going to switch my pick to the Forest Diamond because I find that it works quite well on this sort of lock. This is a 0.5mm one from Moki. Once again, just looking for some feedback. You see that I got a deep, deep false set just then. As I lose it all, that was great. But yes, as I said, there we go. I've missed a pin somewhere. My hands are cramping. This is not normally the angle that I pick at, but that's okay. Drop something. Drop multiple somethings. Might use deeper pick again. There we go. Something at the back there. There we are. You'll see a lot of core movement. This is a lot. So this is maybe 10 degrees now. It's a bit hard to see because obviously I'm bad with lighting, but you'll have to trust me on that one. But there's a good bit of core movement, and that just means I have to find probably the last top pin. Or not, as I've dropped something. Let's find out what I've dropped. 2 set, 1 set, 3 set. There we are. And so once you've done all that, if ever you lose your false set from setting all the rotations, just check again. You've probably dropped a top. So that's 7 minutes. I'm not going to gut it because you've seen me pick this at least twice. And that's just my sort of thoughts is, you know, the directions that you feel, the sort of feedback you should be looking out for. False gates. Again, false gates make less sharp clicks, and also they make the pin feel quite hard. So if you can't jiggle test and feel that there's, you know, some amount of play in that pin, it probably means it's in a false gate. So hopefully that makes it a little more, you know, a bit more insight there, makes it a little clearer. Watch Lockfall Labs video on the general insights. This is a tutorial sort of explaining it, assuming you know what happens on the inside of a Medeco, but yeah, in general, just be cerebral about your tension. Use reasonably stout tension until you have to either rotate or lift a pin, and, you know, loosen back and give it a feel, you know, left and right, see what works, and then go from there. I hope that makes it a bit clearer, and yeah, thank you very much.